Welcome back to my channel. My name is Britta and welcome to my atelier. Summer is upon us and that can only mean one thing: garden core clothes. Garden core is the lesser known core than cottage core, and to me it means clothes that I can move around freely in the garden in, that are comfortable, non-restrictive. I can kneel in the ground and pull some weeds. So the first item I want to make in my garden core collection is a pair of overalls. I just feel like a pair of overalls should be a staple in every gardener's journey because it is super easy to just pull on and work around, and you don't have to think too much about it. And they're not gonna have all the typical pockets on them. If you are completely appalled at me not putting in all the external pockets, there's a reason for that. It's gonna be my next project. So if you wanna see what I am making to make up for the lack of pockets in the overalls that I'm going to make sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, because that'll let you know when I'm releasing the next video. I'm gonna use the Seamwork Del Jumpsuit pattern. Yes, it is technically a jumpsuit, but I think it's going to work really well as a pair of overalls. I already have the pattern printed, cut, and assembled right here because that takes 5,000 years. So we're gonna start with the trusty old paper pattern. I have some fabric that I bought maybe 5 years ago. It's this really nice brown, almost like a corduroy, but it's actually a denim. So it's a little bit heavier weight, but not too thick. So I think it's going to still have a really good drape. I think I have just enough for this pattern, and hopefully I don't make any mistakes. Let's get crafting. The first thing I need to do is clean up all this mess on the floor so I have some space to work. Which side is the right side and which side is the wrong side? I can never tell with some of these fabrics. I think we're going to go with this side is the right side. I'm going to fold everything with the right side together so that way when I draw out the pattern with chalk or pen or whatever I decide to use, none of the markings will be visible on the right side of the fabric. Plenty of fabric left over. Now personally, I like using chalk or those heat erasable pens when I am marking out the pattern on my fabric. I find when I use pins to basically stab the pattern into the fabric to hold it in place, that actually ends up warping the fabric and you're not going to get it cut on the true grain that it needs to be on, and you get a little more ease, which is the excess amount of fabric above your measurements. And I want it to be pretty true to what the pattern is, so I find chalk or those pens to be the easiest, the most accurate, and it just kind of looks fun. You feel like a professional tailor when you see all the chalk laid out on the fabric. These are two pieces that I didn't cut out yet because I wanted to interface them first, and yeah, everything looks great, right? We'll get to that later. I always interface first and then trace everything out and cut it out because interfacing tends to shrink the fabric and make the pieces smaller than they actually are. I found that out through many trial and error. So interfacing first helps to reduce some of those mistakes of the fabric actually shrinking. And uh-oh, finger taps of frustration. Yeah, I thought I measured everything correctly, and I didn't. I don't know what happened, but apparently I misjudged the fabric, so I need to make another piece that's interfaced for the next piece. Not wide enough. Oops. Well, that was a prime example of why I do like to interface first, because even though I measured out the interfacing and the fabric after it was all interfaced, I still didn't have enough for both pieces, and I needed 2 on each side. But that turned out to be a pretty easy fix because, as I said earlier, I had plenty of fabric left over and I was able to get another block of fabric so that way I could make the second piece for the neck facing. And wow, am I struggling with this rotary cutter. You think I would have, I don't know, maybe gone and put a new blade on, but no, we just struggle through. So let's get the rest of this fabric cut out and I will meet you on the other side. Alright, everything is cut out and ready to be assembled except for the elastic, because I have every single size besides the 1 inch that I need, so I need to get some 1 inch elastic. But that's it for today, and tomorrow we will start on the assembly and getting everything all put together. See you tomorrow. All right, it's day 2, so it's time to start assembling everything all together and get to sewing. So the first thing I need to do is I need to put some stay stitching on each of these curves on the front facing, back facing, front piece of the fabric, and back piece of the fabric. The reason for putting on the stay stitching is so that way your fabric doesn't stretch when you're sewing it, so it literally like stitches it and keeps it in place so it stays. After I do the stay stitching, then I need to sew the bust darts on both front pieces, sew up the side seams, then I'm gonna work on the pockets and finish off all the seams and then attach the pockets to each of the side pieces. And after that, I can get everything all sewn together and try it on. And then I just have the facing to attach and the elastic straps. Now you can finish your seams any way that you want, but I personally love using this serger. I got it off of Facebook Marketplace for like 30 bucks and it has saved my seams so many times. I just got done doing the top stitching on my pocket pieces and I hate how they look. I was planning on just using this brown thread that I had, so that way I didn't have to buy anything. I'm gonna head to my local craft store, pick up some top stitching thread, and some 1-inch elastic because I still don't have that, and then we can resume sewing after that. I got everything I needed from the fabric store, so I ended up going with a braided elastic. From everything that I read, braided elastic is going to be a lot better for these straps. Typically I use the woven non-roll elastic, and I think that's just going to be way too stiff and uncomfortable on my shoulders. So I'm really excited to try this. I have never used a braided elastic before, so let's see how it goes. I also got the thread that I needed. It is technically not a top stitching thread, but the color matches, and I've used non-top stitching thread before for top stitching, so I think it's going to be totally fine. Let's head back home and get back to sewing everything together. I may have taken a small detour and ended up at the garden center. But I mean, I'm gonna need things to plant in my new overalls, right? All right, we are on day 3. I have my new top stitching thread, and it looks a whole lot better than yesterday's with the dark brown, so I'm really pleased with that. All I have left to do is put the pockets on each of the side pieces, and then put the 2 front and back and then front and back side pieces together, and then put on the straps, and we are good to go. I think I need to break out the pattern piece. I don't think they're straight, the markings. Let's find out. Not great. Way up. Why is that so much lower? That doesn't seem right. Because of the dart. All right, let me figure this out and I'll come back later. I did get it figured out. What had happened was that I graded the top part of the pattern down to a size 12, and the bottom portion was still a size 14. And because of that, the markings for the pocket placement got a little bit skewed. I didn't think that actually would cause that big of an issue, but apparently it made everything just lay a little bit different, so I had to move a few of the markings for where the pockets are actually supposed to be. So I will take that as a lesson learned for the next time I need to grade a pattern between sizes. left to do is sew the facing on. The straps are already in. Turn it out and press it, and then hem the bottom of the pants, and then it's all done. I'm going to do that off camera because sewing the facing on is going to probably be stressful and slow. So I will see you in the reveal. These are really great for gardening. I'm able to move around very easily in them. I will say one thing that I wish I hadn't done, or at least I had given more thought to. I didn't think about that when I graded this down to a size 12, that it would still need to go over my size 14 hips. So if I were to make this again for an outdoor pair, or even just maybe a pair around the house, depending on the weight of the fabric, if it's a little bit heavier weight or not, I would keep this at the size 14. Oh well, I'm still super happy with how these turned out. I'm definitely going to make them again. I have a fabric in mind that I already want to make another one for, possibly just for around the house or even to wear out and about, depending on how it turns out. I also think these would be really fun in like a patchwork style fabric, or even just patchworking your own fabric, and I do have a lot of scraps, so that might be a really good scrap busting project. I am also really tempted to add on some embroidery patches all around the overalls. I think especially this fabric would look really, really cute with some, you know, like daisies or sunflowers, or just covered in flowers, which is basically all I want to be in life. But that is it for this project. So if you like this video, or if you liked these overalls, please remember to give this video a thumbs up, and feel free to subscribe, because as I mentioned earlier, I am going to be making up for the lack of multiple pockets, because I only have these two, and I will be doing that for my next video. So make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when I'm releasing the next video. I'll see you next time. Oh my goodness. Can I not have my mic on?